Sister God, how can you operate in the supernatural things of God? How can you heal the sick? How can you raise the dead? And how can you speak to your mountains? How can you encourage yourself and become an overcomer? How can you be a lender and not the borrower? Be the head and not the tail if you don't have the glory of God inside your life? You are nothing but ordinary. And you got to understand, when you do not have the glory of God, you pass ordinary, you are also limited. I don't know about you, but I had some conversation with some limited people before, trying to tell them how my supernatural God has given me the ability to do some things that's out of this world, and they say, I can't see that. Hold on, the doctor just told you this, and you're not going to listen to him? You're not going to accept that? The devil is a liar. He said, I am healed. Lord have mercy. And that's what's happening to many churches today. Many churches are satisfied with having church as usual. Today was a day that we didn't have church as usual. And we freaked out. Yeah, in this church. We didn't have all, and we freaked out. It's quiet. Oh my God, I don't have nothing to hide behind. Right. See, when the music is playing loud and the drums is playing loud, and then guess what? You can fake a worship. You can fake a praise. But if you take the music away, can you still worship me? Watch this. If you are a true worshiper and you know you're struggling in worship, do you know that you are a thermostat and you can change the atmosphere? But they got some people and that call themselves leaders and very judgmental. Look at them. They can't worship. Look at them. I shouldn't have came today. I should have laid in my bed. Where's your worship? And there arose a generation that knew not God. So again, they have churches that love having church as usual. They're satisfied with living off of past glory, worshiping in temporary places. They have no problem with singing songs without any feelings. And watch this, worshiping God and not really and truly have any substance. Oh Lord, they cool with listening to sermons and having no application. They are used to living pessimistic and having voluntarily opt out being optimistic. They are used to having knowing how to perform miracles and yet having none come to pass. Understand, where there is an absence of the glory of God, the result is usually spiritual prophecy and powerlessness. And last but not least, and when the glory of God has departed, there is no life. Oh, in the name of Jesus. Yeah. You know when the glory of God is in your life, because you're energetic when it comes down to kingdom business. Yeah. But when someone has to pump you up, then that should question if the glory really resides inside of you. When you cannot raise God and exalt God, you should question if the glory resides. I have to tell you today that that is not my desire to see this church to be without the glory of God, where you are simply operating like other churches, where you are just ordinary. That is not good enough for me, and I believe it will not be good enough for you any longer. This church must be a place where the glory of God resides, and where the glory of God rests, where you worship, and where your worship is authentic, and where your lives are transformed, because we are encountering the glory of God on a daily basis. I'm talking about as soon as I wake up, I should encounter the glory of God. God, think thank you for waking me up. Thank you for not taking my children. Thank you for not taking my house. God, I thank you for just being God all along. I could see. I had the use of my limbs. God, thank you. Because God, they could have had a car roll right in my house and killed me. They could have had a straight bullet just come and hit me. But God, you protected me. You kept me. You put a hedge of protection around me. And I glorify you for that. We should receive and experience and encounter the glory of God on a daily basis. So if we are to encounter the glory of God, watch this, there must be a moral transformation that must take place. If not, we will be like the temple where God removes his glory. You do know God can remove his glory. In Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 6, God said to Ezekiel, son of man, do you see what they are doing? The great abomination that the house of Israel is committing here in the sanctuary? It said this, and this tripped me out. It said, it is driving me away from this sanctuary. So wait up. I can have a sanctuary that is dedicated to God, and God do not rest in the sanctuary. And he cannot rest in the sanctuary because of the abomination that the people are committing in the sanctuary. We can't defile a consecrated thing by doing what we want to do. So understand, before the destruction of the temple in 687 BC, there was plenty of worship. There was plenty of sacrifice. There was plenty of priests and plenty of religion, meaning plenty of religious systematic activity that was going on in the sanctuary. There was the activity of worship going on, but there was no moral transformation occurring inside of the worship. An experience like this is contradictory in essence. How can you go into worship without having any transformation going on? It just cannot, and it just does not exist. Because if you are engaging in worship, you slowly moving into the presence of God, and when you do reach his presence, then things have to change. So if there is no change in your life, and then that means you got to question, have you entered into his presence? Yes. Even though you're in the sanctuary. So another word for change is transformation. This word is also known as metamorphosis or metamorpho in the Greek. It's the same meaning as the word transfiguration, which is something that is changed in form, something that is changed in appearance and also in character. Watch this. In Mark 9:2, you have evidence of something being changed, something being transformed, something being transfigured, something being metamorphosed. When Jesus took up Peter, James, and John to a high mountain and was changed or he was transfigured in his appearance before their very eyes. What was on the inside of Jesus became visible on the outside of him. The glory that lay dormant in the inside of Jesus came ravaging out on the outside of him. He was changing his form, and also he was changing his appearance. He was metamorphosed, or better yet, he was metamorphosed. That not only the place and that we have evidence of a change that is needed. Also, the Bible tells us in Romans 12:2, where we are told that we ought to be transformed. We ought to be metamorphosed by the renewing of our minds. That is saying that we are supposed to change our mindset. Also, we're supposed to change our character when we have an encounter with the true and living God. So watch this. When a person finally receives the glory of God, the true essence of God, a brush with Jesus, when a person receives the Holy Spirit in their life, there ought to be a transformation. There ought to be a metamorphosis in that person's life. Now watch this. If it's a year later and that person's still doing, and that person's still operating in the same way he or she did when he gave his life to Christ, well, I'm here to tell you this, baby. Saints of God, something is wrong. Houston, we have a problem. Where there is no change, then there is no presence of God.